Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
Hi. How are you getting on?
Hello.
Evening. Welcome, one and all. It's Wicked Wednesday.
How
Yeah.
sweet it is to be with you. That didn't work.
Look, we're Wicked Game. Normally we do a proper D&D game on a Wednesday, on Wicked Wednesday, but we did our big final fight last week, so this week we are doing a wind down, a kind of exit moment, and we're doing some questions and D&D chat. So if you are kind of brand new to this, then sit back and relax. We'll chat about what happened in this campaign, see if you like what our vibe's all about. And there'll be some, ask a question about regular D&D, because we could talk about this stuff until the cows come home. So
I mean, we do regularly.
We do regularly, absolutely. Our announcements. Mods in chat, we love them. It's Rooney Runes, it's Sweet Poison, it's Atomic Flash. Whatever they say goes.
Yeah.
They're on their stuff.
100%.
Music is by Ivan Dutch, ivandutch.com. He provides great music for streaming and for D&D games, so check him out. Schedule-wise, tomorrow Michelle and I will be Dragon Aging.
Yeah.
And Sundays we tend to do Divinity Original Sin 2. And then next week we have a little mini campaign, which is Kids on Bikes, run by I knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I
Every
keep
week.
forgetting.
Guys, we're not actually we don't surprise Tom with this.
No, he knows. He knows.
It was his idea.
It was his idea.
I know what it is, because we were going to do this a while ago, and then the internet stuff happened, so yada yada yada. It's
The internet,
fine.
meaning the 1 month dark age that me and Michelle were
Lived through.
sent to serve.
Those were tough times. So that's our basic schedule for you, and we're playing some Kids on Bikes, but in between this campaign and campaign 2, which we'll chat to you about in the future. I think that's that. So to give a quick rundown, should there be anyone here who is like, what's this? Who are you guys? What do you got?
Who is?
What do you bring into the table?
Questions. All.
In From the Ashes, we had our 3 friends. We had Nikki playing Cam, who was a furball barbarian. We had Michelle playing Nyx, who was a drow cleric of the Twilight. And we had Tom playing the water genasi sorcerer, soon multi-classing into bard. And they escaped.
Called Surge.
Oh, did I not say Surge? No, the nameless one.
He who shall not be named.
They escaped what is essentially a torture house. Not to put a too fine a point on it. I kept going, the place where they were like the lab. I was like, no, let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah. Torture.
So they escaped it, they burnt it to the ground, they killed their torturer, and started to try and make their way through the world to start a new life. And along the way, they met this person called, I'm now gonna just condense it right down, but they met a person called Marcos, who was the son of a city leader. And when they came to the city, they realized there had been a power grab. There was a new leader. It's a kind of mayor type. It's called pro-council. And they were called Saverbarg. And they quite simply killed Marcos. And our 3 friends settled into the city, trying to find a home, find work, keep their heads down, just get on with life, basically. And they started off extremely successfully. They found themselves a really nice home with somebody they felt that they could trust. And their first job, which was this local glass factory that was having some sabotage issues, and could they like stake it out and see what the issue was, which catapulted them into a situation where they realized there were people who were forcing magic into everyday people, which is what had happened to them, but it was happening elsewhere. So they got on the case and teamed up with these people, and off they went to try and liberate more people that had been in the same situation as them, garner information, and sort of put an end to the torture that had been happening, which they did really well. They freed the lovely Hannah. They killed the hag lady, which you never discovered her name. She's just the hag.
We've got plenty of names for her.
Yeah.
I just like to make that very clear.
Yeah. And on returning to the city, you realized that the people that you'd allied with had also been fairly successful. They'd come back, but they had actually been arrested and executed for their crime, for those crimes, for what they'd done. So it was all on. They knew they had connected the dots that this person who was the leader of the city was the person financing all of this terrible torture. So they knew she had to be ousted. She had to be either, arrested or killed. And all of that was, again, sped up by the fact that people, including dear friends, were being arrested and were about to be put on trial. So on the day of a big trial, when friends were about to be killed, they just fucking slayed, frankly.
We did the thing.
You did what needed to be done, and she was killed. There was a little surprise in there because the person, their original torturer, it turned out had just about survived by the skin of his teeth and was there, so you got to kill him a second time. And you realized that this woman was a rakshasa, disguised as a beautiful woman. So you managed to kill her, and where we sort of left it last time was the Emperor Julian II turned up at the end of the fight with guards and advisors and stepped into the town square and essentially wanted to get all the details about what happened, but was there to bring order to the place. And you guys sort of went back to your home for the evening to have dinner, and you were going to see him the next day. God, I've done a fairly bad job of recapping.
I mean, you've done a great
There was
job.
all sorts of lovely little personal character moments in there as well, which I kind of just
Like
plowed
Nick's
through.
having a wife, as Rudy's pointed out.
People discovering their interesting backstories. Yeah, they'd had, all of them had their minds meddled with in order to make them more compliant. So we had a lot of interesting, oh, that's my past. Well, shit. So, yes, after the battle, the Sons of Salt, the students from Divisia Census, Remy, various wives, new boyfriends, brothers, and all the people who got saved from the houses collected at your house on Kiskados Way, and basically like every bit of food in the house was put on platters and the table was extended out, more chairs were brought in so everyone could get around the table. Every kind of drink was served. Marla was not there, was dealing with the Emperor, but mostly I imagine there was a kind of quiet exhaustion to this sort of feast. Tom, I don't know what you're miming, but I know it's not wholesome.
You had to deal with the Emperor. Take those teeth out, girl.
I imagine that there are sort of like moments where there's mutterings of flattery passed around when it's like, oh, I remember when you did this thing in the fight, that was really cool, and the achievements that you had that day. And I think sometimes people muse a little bit around that table on the kind of the vacuum of power that there now is in the city, and how it might be filled, and sort of generally the consensus is that, who knows what will come out of the discussions that are currently being had in the Pale Manor. They're really not sure how it will happen, but you'll probably find out the next day.
I think Serge would absolutely try and breathe it into the world, breathe it into existence, that Cam should be the new patrician.
Cam's mayor.
What is being a pro-council if not being a
sorry.
very powerful butler? Same thing.
The most powerful butler.
The most powerful butler.
So opening the door to the city and saying, "Hello, I'm Captain."
I'm gonna buckle the shit out of this
Can
shit.
you imagine the panic at thinking that he had to say hello to everybody that came into the city? Like, it's got a major harbour and two canal entrances. He'd be like running and running.
So many doors.
Lovely city, just absolute pain in the ass to get into. Queue's about 4 miles long. Guy runs the place, lovely bloke, insists on saying hello to everyone. Unloading the ship takes forever. No, don't go off the boat. Otherwise you have to go say hello. Just stay on the boat. Pass me the box.
I think probably around that evening meal as well, Bez would say to you, Serge, he would talk to you a bit about your parents, and he would kind of, because I think he's cottoned on a bit. You at first, you tried to, you said you wanted to keep it from him, what you'd been through, but then you needed to talk an awful lot about what you'd been through around him. So it was hard for him not to pick up what had happened. So he starts to talk a little bit about your parents, Fiek and Mirgren, and your family name for your reference. I don't know why I do this to myself, is Chailich Flower, which is, yes, I will give you the spelling for it, should you want it. It is Irish words in our world, but whatever. So you are Serge Chailich Flower. And I think, there's a little bit of discussion about, your memories and what you recall and what do you feel comfortable remembering right now. And that it's your timeline. You get to choose when you reacquaint yourself with all of that.
Yeah, I think Serge would be very, actually very open with the fact that the memories had been taken from me, and for some reason, for whatever reason, had been gifted to Nyx. She has sort of recently given them back to me. However, I think it's going to take a little bit of time for me to actually be kind of ready, and for as selfish, and he probably uses these words, as selfish as it is, this is the first sense of peace that we've really had for quite literally my known memory. And I think I'd just like to settle a little bit, wait for the dust to settle before trying for anything else. But I think he would absolutely be incredibly earnest in his appreciation of what Bez has done for him, and will sort of beseech him to kind of make sure that he lets me know when he's back in the city from now on. But I think I think ultimately the general feeling for Serge is not right now. We've just done a lot, and I can't right now. But
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because in many ways, he completely respects your choice, but it does put him in a really interesting position because he sees them a lot, and now he's sort of wondering what he does when he goes to see them, because he doesn't, I guess he'll see what the next couple of days does, because if the city's safe, he may ask you if they can come to you. You don't have to remember, you don't have to go and visit them, but what if they came to the city? And all of that can be decided in the next few days, depending on how safe the city is.
I think it's about safe spaces, isn't it? And currently, I mean, ironically, this city that we've spent the past sort of 2 days sneaking around in because we're scared that we're going to get executed is now a safe space for Serge. And I think going on a long journey to meet people that he doesn't actually remember does not feel safe to him right now, if that makes sense. So yeah, like if that were to be brought up, he would absolutely say, that would be okay. Just give me warning, please.
Yeah, cool. What do you think anyone else brings up? What other things get chatted about in this dinner, this post-climactic dinner?
I don't know. I think in a similar way to Serge, I think Nyx is sort of just trying to enjoy the calm before the storm of, she obviously has the memory of her family back, and so I think if it gets brought up or gets mentioned, I think she sort of has a similar answer of like, that's another day. That needs to wait. I think she would still be focusing on, sort of what happens next and what happens to the people, and would probably be chatting to the Divisia people to find out what how like what it is they can do to help, and thinking about okay, well there may be more people out there that still, just because we've done this doesn't mean those people aren't going to be rescued or whatever. We need to find, I think she'd still be on the mission almost.
Yeah, and the Divisia people, but especially Eli talks quite a lot about the sanatorium in the school, where there are a great many people who are brought from all over the world, essentially, to be looked after. It's not just students that perhaps took on too much too quickly. It is also other people who couldn't cope with the strain of magic, and whatever their level of difficulty, they are housed and cared for, and they are, every school that exists in the Empire and beyond caters, it's sort of their obligation as a kind of arcane school. It's their obligation to also look after and be at the cutting edge of how to look after people who have those problems. Cool. So in many ways, what they're gently trying to say to you is, these people who are currently not in control of their powers completely, they sort of have to go to Divisia in their own time, but even just for a once-over, to make sure that they're not a danger to other people. And actually, if you guys wanted to come and just, get someone to sort of feel your forehead and go, are you totally in control? No, that's fine. But like, if you wanted to come to get the once-over and to chat to people about what you've been through, then you could do that, and that they would do it in the next few days and take Hannah and Jinx and Dito and Igrushka to that school.
Cool. Yeah, I think Nyx is kind of like, cool, because I know it's still like, not iffy ground, but like it is still just sort of shutting people in a room. But Nyx would be like, yeah, you guys know better than me, so I'm just gonna trust that.
Yeah.
Oh God, would she trust it?
Yeah.
It's fully contextually, like, down to context of past experience, isn't it? Whether it's actually good or not. We know that it's objectively good, but at the same time, through lived experience, we can tell you that it ain't for me, hun.
It's
Do you know
not,
what I mean?
yeah, exactly. But I think
You also call it growth, though, because it wasn't that long ago that somebody talked about, giving you a helping hand and going to and sort of offering you lodgings, and you told them to get fucked. So we'll call it personal growth.
Yeah, it's a little bit of growth. It's a little bit of personal growth. But yeah, what Cam?
I don't know. I think he spends the evening reeling. Definitely, I don't think he's in a good space, and I think obviously like conversations they had around sort of just trying to understand who he is. Like obviously his whole identity has been who he is to other people. And then if he tries to kind of like take himself out of that context, like the only person this kind of like raging and stuff doesn't feel good kind of afterwards, and kind of like dealing with, is that who he is, and like just your real fucking cliche Jekyll and Hyde stuff. Which one's the mask? All that fun
Which
stuff.
one's the monster?
Yeah. I think he has like his identity has always been in relation to Sikros, and then now he's having just like a real deep and aggressive, I think, identity crisis. And I think he maybe spends some time on that. Like, I don't think any of this is kept especially hidden. Like, I think if people are going to the Divisia Centre, I don't think he wants to go to get checked up, but I do think he would be willing to help take people.
Yeah, I don't know if Nyx would
I don't know how far it is.
Too trusting to want to go, but
maybe be an escort and make sure
I think Cam would
free
be
to
willing
go
to
once
escort.
they, you're the person who makes sure that they are allowed to leave once they've arrived.
Yeah.
I like that. Next campaign, it's you versus 800 high-level wizards.
We can take her. They're wizards.
Lydia, for your benefit, Zan's just put in this chat Jekyll and Hydrangeas, which is
fucking good. Like really fun.
The chamomile.
Come on, put it on the list. You know what list?
yeah.
I think I do. I know Cam is dealing with a lot, and I think we all are. And I think I mentioned it last week, but Nyx would obviously be checking in with her boys and making sure.
Yeah. I think that's all just sort of like they're a good team, and I think
it wouldn't be a pressured like talk about it, but it would be a when you're ready to talk about it.
I also feel like the subtext of this evening is like it is relatively clear that it's not the end of our friendship, but it's the end. It's certainly the end of an era of us as a trio, and I think with that in mind, Serge is absolutely not going to be kind of he's absolutely got one eye or one hand on you when the eye gets too sore from being sort of next to you. Like on each of you at all times kind of thing, and making sure that and I'm sure you two are exactly the same kind of like that kind of.
No, Cam runs away.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that first night that you slept in beds at Binty's house, and how the chaps took the bed and each of the beds, and Nyx sat in a chair looking out of a window, but she could keep her hand either side on her boys, and it feels like you're always wanting to, but then there's this sort of larger web, because Yvain always has to be within touching distance of Nyx, and I'm quite sure that we've got this larger extended thing of like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be out of touching distance. Like, well, you're taking up the pavement. So
And like they're that fucking group of friends who walks like fucking single
Yeah,
file,
yeah, yeah.
and it's just like, I need to go around. You're having a very nice conversation, but you're walking half speed. Please fucking move,
Yeah.
because Mungo's fucking there, like
Yeah.
Free's
But that's the
there.
thing. I think
rest
that's
of the
the-
fucking
that's the-
forbidden fruits are there.
It's kind of the point, though, isn't it? It's like too many coconuts to hold, and when you have too many coconuts, you're like, oh shit, there are too many coconuts. Like it's not like
this is a fucking wild analogy.
how fucking profound did that sound? But no, like
That's just how the numbers work. But
like Sweet made a sort of a joke about like Serge going, oh shit, I don't have enough hands for you two and my boyfriend, but which is kind of a little bit soon, by the way, Sweet, to put like.
Don't tell me you're backing out already, Tom. This is classic Tom.
No, I'm joking. He's absolutely head over heels. But yeah, no, it's not necessarily like, I think something where we've gone, oh yeah, shit, it's the end. But it's just that thing of like both Nyx and Serge have that thing of like, oh, I literally don't have enough hands for all of the people that
Yeah.
shit. Is that perhaps now kind of telling me something?
Yeah, it's definitely very bittersweet, because I think it's that kind of relief of I can't remember, I feel like it's been said before, but like they escaped at the beginning of the campaign, but this is like the first time they're actually free of it.
Yeah.
And
the campaign has been the escape, but I think the party understand that to varying degrees.
yeah.
I think maybe Nyx has always kind of felt on the run, so maybe this is like, oh, we can that feels more momentous than burning down the house. Like there are people around me now. Like I've not just ran away. Like I now have a support network, and the people who are sought to hurt me have kind of like Lydia's face. But yeah, I think Nyx understands how that more than the others, and I think Cam probably the least. Although I don't know where Serge falls.
Nyx has a memory of life. Nyx had a life before, and I know Serge did, obviously, but as a child it was much smaller.
But also, I think that's part of the reason why Serge is and will be relatively reticent to sort of sift through all of the memories. Not just because there's a whole life and a whole family that isn't you in there that will be traumatic to go through again for the first time, but also that like accepting those memories and accepting that time kind of means it means an end to our time to a certain extent, because
as it was anyway.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like I think it's fairly obvious to anyone who's watched. Like Serge was always very much kind of almost definitely out of necessity. Like this is 2 feet in front of me. Like there's no sort of soon. It's this is the moment. This is the moment that matters. And as soon as he gets the then back, he has to actively start looking at the future as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is a very different.
It expands time out the way your mind works in both directions.
It will ultimately change Serge drastically.
100%, yeah.
Like as a person, like which he knows, I think innately.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to stop talking. I'll let you two.
Back.
I'm back. Naughty Malloy has been obtained.
Oh, good.
Good. And he's now just screaming. He's literally screaming. You can't hear it because he's a bit too far away, but he's fucking screaming.
Because he wants to go back outside.
He wants to go back into that thorny bush that he was hiding in. I hear so much sometimes. Oh, here he comes. All right. So the following morning, if we can kind of shift forward in time a little bit. That night you kind of had filtered off to bed, probably fairly early because of exhaustion reasons. And none of you see Marla return. And the following morning, a member of the Imperial Guard arrives at the house and escorts you to the Pale Manor in a very fancy gondola. And as you step into a room where less than 24 hours ago you had spilled blood, now it is pristine. And you see that once again, the doors have been removed from that hall. I don't know if you remember this little detail, but it was one of the things that Marcos sort of realized something was really wrong. He was like, my mother always made a point of not having these doors. There wasn't like a barrier between her and the people who were waiting to see her. She didn't want privacy. And Sava had installed them, and they've been immediately taken off again. And there, sat in a throne at the end of the hall, is the Emperor. I should probably say that there was quite a kind of hurried conversation from the Imperial Guard about the correct way to deal with the Emperor. It's like a very fast lesson in, like, you never turn back on the Emperor. You have to bow, and then you have to wait for the signal before you can, like, there'd be quite a lot of that, like, it's this knee that you bend, that one has to touch the floor, and when you're bowing it has to be like this, so you have to, like, get it all in your head. And there he is, sat on the throne. There's the stained glass window that's behind him, sort of silhouetting him and his incredible spiraling horns. And he is flanked by several of his personal guard, well-dressed people, and Marla's there. She's the only other person that's been offered a seat, bless her, because she's elderly. And I'm not going to make anyone do any rolls. I'm not going to make anyone potentially fail in front of the Emperor. That seems kind of shit at this point. But assuming that you got it right, he would stand up and move forward. And there's this moment, this weird, because he's well over 15 foot, but there's this weird, almost like it feels like an optical illusion, because as he steps towards you, he shrinks in size to meet the tallest person in the group.
So
as he's stepping,
yeah, 120 foot tall to meet you.
Yeah.
He grows.
yeah. So he meets the height of Yvain, and he offers his hand to each of you, and greets you, and essentially asks for the fullest. I don't know why I'm attempting to read anything without my phone.
You know what this fucking dude looks like.
He wants your full names for the records. There's somebody there who is taking down notes of everything that's being, not notes, taking down the exact minutes of what's happening the whole time. And, Mungo calls himself Mungo of the Yuri tribe, and a Cree, gives him, he is a Cree Kyrios. And Serge, do you give your full name?
I give my full name now that I know it.
Which is what? What did you write that?
Yep. That's what I was doing. I wrote it down. And I still haven't got a fucking clue. I'm gonna go. Kalich, Kluech.
Right. Ride with me on this one, because here's the spelling: Teaghlach. New word. GRA with an accent. MHAR.
Yeah, this dyslexic motherfucker got to TEA.
It's like Claich Clower. And it actually means loving family in Irish.
Claich.
Claich Clower. Nix, you give your full name?
Yeah, I think she do. I think she's had a brief conversation with Yvain about it, like the night before maybe. But it's that full panic of like you're back at school and it's like, fuck, yeah, this is my name.
Did I take your name or did you take my name?
I can't. I can't pronounce it.
So it's Nyx and Yvain Orosera.
Orosera.
Um,
Oh, she took my name. She can have my name.
she can't have the tribe name anymore, so
That rings.
Yeah.
beautiful. And Cam, you're just chamomile.
You don't know her surname.
Guys, you'll come to learn this about me. I fucking love a mononym.
Share.
You know, and other D&D characters I've played other than Cher.
No, they're all based on. Share.
Ball bag. Twat.
Because, you know, fuck a family name. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine Cam would have a family name. Like,
Or know of it anyway. You wouldn't know what it is.
Oh, arguably neither does Julian II. You know?
Oh, you got that in common.
boys.
Beautiful. And he essentially asks you to give the most comprehensive version of the story that you can give. And I guess I'm asking you, do you give that fully? I mean, unless there's a reason, do you hide anything? Do you hold anything back at all?
Oh, good question.
I mean, we'll probably have a little conversation in our heads about it anyway. Serge would be like, you know what? I actually don't see a reason to lie about anything unless I've overlooked something drastic.
I feel like the only thing close to a crime, or a moral crime anyway, was, I can't even remember, the croque monsieur situation.
I think we tell that story in great detail. That's the one we really get focused on.
Serge is absolutely wetting himself the entire fucking time.
I mean,
I think even a Cree is like listening to this story going, why are we... What?
No, this is important. It's important. Just stay with us.
Amazing. All right. Well,
And yes,
you know,
we tell him about the multiple instances of Serge shitting his pants as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm desperately trying to think of if there would be something we would specifically withhold.
just thinking through all the major crimes we did, I think I'm okay with all of them.
Yeah.
All the major ones anyway. Minor ones, I don't really keep a track of at this point.
Yeah, even like the people we killed, it was all self-defense.
Especially.
It was
Like,
all.
I was very good at not doing a murder.
It was all self-defense. Yeah, I think I'd also make mental notes of who the custers were who are kicking the shit out of the guy whose name I've forgotten.
Dob them in.
Yeah, I'll be like, they should lose their jobs, and also so should they, this and this and this, that kind of stuff.
Spicy. At the end, you know, he offers his thanks to your bravery and your actions, and you know, he talks about how much he understands that you are owed this great debt for everything that you've endured, and that some of that debt can be settled. You know, rewards can be offered for doing a job that law enforcement should have been doing. But some of that debt is impossible to repay. The debt of the suffering that you endured at the hands of people who put money and power and knowledge before humanity. And that is something that the Empire, but particularly Julian, of all the emperors, cannot abide. It is humanity first. He explains that along with so many refusals that Marla has issued directly to the Emperor, she has refused to fill the spot of being pro-council, citing that it sort of interferes with her retirement. And so there's going to be a Senate member that will be posted for a short stint until a fair election can be done. And that sort of includes after the city being rehabilitated, because it's very clear that there was a lot of propaganda that swayed the city. So there's a lot of stuff that has to help create a free press again. You know, there's so much work that needs to be done. He has seized all of the property and wealth of Saverbarg, which was very simply done because she left all of her wealth in her will to a named person that doesn't exist, called Selun Holangi, which is archaic Theopatrian for new tiger. So it's, as he called it, weak sauce. And has taken,
that was going to be her new name.
Yeah.
When she had
she
to like
started
fake
off
her
with
death.
cruel tiger in one language, and she moved on to new tiger, weak sauce. So the funds and the properties have been seized and will be put into a fund for not only like repairing the damage, but so like initially there'll be, the custers all need to be rehabilitated. Some of them need to be arrested, but some of them who were, you know, led astray is, I guess, some of them are not, have to pay for what they did, but some of them can be rehabilitated. And a huge overhaul in law enforcement needs to happen, regaining the free press, stabilizing the economy.
What about in the game, Lydia?
Dang!
There is more than one way to self-soothe, and let's just say this is my way.
I need to put on a little waistcoat and beat the shit out of Boris Johnson.
Listen, guys, can
Slap
we just
another
whip up
French
a quick,
president.
quick charity, something or other, to make sure that happens? Stabilizing the economy, strengthening, you know, straightening out tax and issuing grants to people who lost their jobs and businesses and stuff like that, and investigate who might have aided Saver, whether in the city or in the torture houses. He asks the survivors to, including you, obviously, you are counted as that, to meet with the Senate member who is sort of also considered part of the funding stuff.
Is this like, is
So
this his Senate members like speciality, or like, and secondary question, does this person have the ability to run for office once stability has been reached?
They won't ever be running for office. Being a Senate member is extremely time consuming, and they need, you know,
It's like regional manager stepping in to take over a shop.
It's even more than that. It's like a CEO, I guess.
I'm with you. No, I just wanted to make sure. I say make sure. Because
no, they are. It's just. It's absolutely posting the highest possible person. So everything. They're sort of Senate members are considered uncorruptible. So it's using them to sort of do the right thing. So you're asking for them, you guys, to meet them, so that you can talk about, you know, how you want to move forward and how they can help. Because as he says, you know, there is a crassness to dictating how you're compensated, and he wants to leave that in your hands. And there are keener minds than his that can work out what will be the right way to set you on your right path. So he asks you if there's anything else that you guys want to say while there are official records being taken. You do what you want to say, dicks, don't you?
Say it.
You know what? I'm gonna sing the full version of Croque Monsieur.
Oh, God, Monsieur, I thought you were going to sing a Crease song.
It's even better. Croque Monsieur. Yeah.
Serge has chosen now to debut his first ever song. Right here, right now.
So it's an official.
This is Radio 3.
It is one lone voice in that large, echoey room, the quavering voice of a nervous songwriter debuting his song for the first time. And I think, like, after a while, like, Akri attempts to sort of, like, join in and help you and attempts on the choruses to like find a little bit of harmony, but he's honestly looking at you like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm gonna try and have your back.
That is.
And it lasts what, 7.5 minutes?
Can I roll for performance?
Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can.
I need to get my character
There's
sheet.
93 verses.
Oh god.
Yeah. It's it's his version of what's the song that both
So what was that song?
Oh, Jackass.
Jackass.
What?
Sorry
Well
about
remembered, Michelle.
yeah, very well
Name of the
remembered. I
Wind.
fully wasn't actually expecting to roll anything, but I do want to see how this goes. So performance, yeah?
Yeah.
That was a natural 16 plus 9, so 25.
Woo! It's a fucking hit.
It's a bop.
It's a hit, and it's going back to the capital.
Now, the real question is, does the Emperor seem to enjoy it?
Roll insight.
Remember,
Man's got fucking charisma up the fucking
we
whack.
just told him this whole story in great detail, and now you've gone. We've heard the original story. Now hear the song.
That was another 16, so a 17.
There is a kind of
story, innit?
mask of a pleasant smile on his face, and it's very hard to tell if that is a smile that he is enjoying it or if it's a well-practiced royal smile.
And Serge is going to have that smile burnt into his brain for the rest of his life. Like this moment.
If you've
Like,
been on stage and done something you've regretted, and then you think about it for a long time. Like that time when I was 10 years old and I sung an a cappella version of Nickelback's How You Remind Me. Still think about that.
I've got too many to recall. I have stood on stage and sung a cappella and just started in the wrong key and had to start over. It's so embarrassing. I hate it so much. Anyway.
Yeah, the Emperor was absolutely sat there like, oh shit, they were actually fairly well, like high functioning, but these kids are obviously fucked psychologically.
We need to get them help stat.
I was in a Manchester United t-shirt and a Fila bucket hat as well when I sang that song. It's
But yeah, I think I sort of look over at Akri afterwards and sort of go, I had to try.
Is there anything else for the official records?
Cam would not ask for anything. I think the idea of receiving, call it recompense, call it a gift or anything, makes him very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
Like
that wouldn't happen
someone else
today.
would.
That would happen in the next few days. But yeah. Anything from Nyx?
Anything for the record? No, I don't think so. I think she's still reeling from a lot of stuff, so she wouldn't really know what to say. Yeah, and I don't even know if there'd be anything in particular she'd think of asking for. I think money would obviously be great, just as a money, please. But yeah, I think that's the only thing she can think of, which is like, this will help. I don't know in what way, but it will help.
Yeah. And also,
Sam's just gone, kill the sun.
I mean, there would be a part of Nyx that would be
Sam.
like, can you do anything about that?
I mean, if
Is
anyone
that
could.
on all
oh
the
yeah,
time?
kill the sun. S-U-N. Okay. I was thinking, who's left? What offspring have we
Oh
got?
god, no! The actual burning ball of fire in the sky. Nyx might ask if like there's any way to like just turn it down a bit, or like,
They might recommend, there's plenty of overcast places in the world.
Oh,
the
perfect.
Original Empire is not one of them.
really came to the worst place.
Cool. Well, after all of that happens, he stands once again and he steps towards Marla. She, raises herself up stiffly, and again he shifts his height to meet hers, and he just says that he hopes that she will change her mind, and there is this, in a gentle movement, he strokes her cheek, and you could swear you hear a small rattling purr. And she smiles and shockingly calls him calls him a little rascal, and does a very elderly bow. And and it isn't too long before there is a teleporting spell, and through the archway, the Emperor just leaves, you know, so that some of the appropriate amount of officials behind. And you know, you are sort of left to your own devices. And I guess we're going to move into an area where we're not going to move too much into the future, because it is very likely that we will come back to these characters, and I think I don't want to go too far into the future. You know, I want to leave it open that we can pick it up almost immediately. But if you'd like to tell me what you think your characters would do in the next few weeks, Cam, let's start with you.
Why? Why? I think he can't really think that all that long term yet still, because like Tom was saying, and I think it's a really apt point to make, like once you can kind of draw back your past a bit and expand the world out that way, you kind of instinctively expand the future out as wide. And obviously he doesn't have quite the same thing. I think he will work through the list of memories he has, or like he's sort of like a couple of memories, and I think it's therapy, and I think it's spending time outdoors, and I think it's helping other people, because he still doesn't have a sense of self outside of helping people. And I think that he views his kind of like internment at this house as he views it as a far lesser evil than what Serge and Nyx and the numerous people who he buried have been through. He views it as far lesser than that. So I think he is working up to feeling as though he deserves the rose that he was gifted. I think that's his check. It's the only checkpoint he really has, kind of like personal milestone. So I think he's working to feeling like he deserves to have that rose, and I think that might take longer than people might think. I think obviously there's a tremendous amount to unpack, but I think that's his goal, and I think he's doing that by giving gondola rides and very patiently taking old people to see flowers and stuff, because he's the only person with a gondola who's willing to spend the time for a single fare to take someone round to see some plants and stuff, and not think, fucking hell, if I'd just taken someone to the market, I could have had 4 fares by now. So I think that's honestly that a lot of it. I think he's just maybe the most patient gondola for hire, and I think he very often forgets to charge people, and I think he just is trying to do small amounts of good until he feels like he can make the journey to pick up that rose, and then I think he can then start to kind of like pour his energy into that, thinking if I can nurture this, it will nurture me, kind of thing.
You know, the memories that you that you get are sadly all of your time with Sikros, because you were taken at such a tiny age. You know, the first memory that you have in your life is being in that apple crate on the cart with him. But what you do get is knowledge of the mass graves, and which you didn't necessarily have before, and you have a clearer knowledge that everybody had their memories messed with. You know, it feels like from the narrative that we've worked through, like Nyx was given all the memories, but actually there was it was his hobby, it was his joy to take one memory and implant it in somebody else, and take one memory and plant it in someone else, and do this big game of fucking hopscotch. So that's why there are some of those marbles are a completely different color, because they are people that you don't know who didn't make it. And you know, there's just a lot. There's I imagine, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think in many ways Cam would find it more uncomfortable to see the moments when Cam was, you know, not happy, but like sitting by the hearth with Sitcross. He was allowed to, like one night where he was allowed to sit on the floor next to Sitcross while Sitcross read a journal, and you were allowed to have a, you know, those are the moments you find hardest to kind of bear, because you knew what was happening underneath the
I think it's that and the kind of like the mindless cleaning, just kind of like so close to where people were. Like I think that's the and the moments where he like maybe looks back when he's younger and doesn't quite understand the gravity of wheeling a body out in a wheelbarrow, like the moments before he kind of like understood what that was.
Well, yeah, because he was so incredibly brainwashed that I think, you know, there might have been times when Cam was unhappy where maybe, you know, delivery people came and you didn't say anything, but it did cross your mind to say something. But there are other times when it didn't even cross your mind because he had indoctrinated you so much.
Like that was life. Like he didn't know what was outside. Like there was, it wasn't like a I've had better. It's a this is all I know. Like how can I walk? Like surely out the world is just like this.
Yeah, and I imagine, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it took Serge speaking to you for you to remember the humanity that dwelled, because, you know, there are not cute little windows on these doors. It's really easy for a young person to just see a door and forget there's a living person on the other side of it. So it would take a voice in your mind talking to you every day.
It took someone other than his, because we spoke about this before, but like initially it was just sort of it wasn't an immediate let's fucking escape. It was like is someone else there, and it was sort of like quiet. Like it maybe took a while before Serge was like, are you like before Serge found out that like Cam was able to like walk around the house. Like it was just a friend in your mind kind of thing, and it was Cam going, oh, these are people, like living kind, like people, and I think that's a lot of where Cam's like guilt comes from, which is the I wish I'd known sooner, like, and that kind of like adjacent survivor's guilt of going, they had it so much worse than me, and like it depends how you're looking at it. Is it worse or is it just different, sort of thing? Like, but I think obviously from Cam's point of view, like it's so much worse, and then he finds it hard to kind of, where does he draw the line? And sometimes on a bad day he's drawing the line where he's on the same side as Sicros, and like it, and when in reality the line sort of goes pretty far down through the middle of Cam in terms of like what has happened, and like I think he struggles with that. I think not seeing himself the villain, and I think he maybe sometimes has nightmares of seeing his like bloodied face in the canal water as maybe that's a reminder that he's no better than he used to be, and like maybe there's this huge evil that kind of dwells within him, and I think that scares him a lot. So I think he tries to kind of like stay with the mundane and the stuff he can control. I think he wears the same clothes. I think he's just got Nyx to fix them. I think it's the same gondola. Like I think as little kind of material change in his life that he can manage, just so it doesn't feel like he's got his friends around and they're doing new and different things, and he's also doing new and different things, and he sees them incredibly regularly. Like this is not like he's by himself, because he's not. And I think he has
same
mindless
house. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has mindless conversations with like random Arawavian pensioners who are like, I want to go to the shops, but I'm going to wait for Camomile's gondola because we can go past the flowers and he doesn't get angry with me. And he'll wait outside the shops for me. Like,
That's cute.
Like, I think it's a case of, I think it's not unusual for him to come home and have taken one fare because somebody has a lot to do and they've gone, Cam won't charge me extra. Cam won't.
Well, it is real lucky that you're probably going to be handed a big bag of cash, because you're going to be working in at a deficit here with the rent that you've got.
100%. But like I think Cam almost needs to be working at a deficit for him to feel like he is doing good for people, and I think he's just trying to live the kind of words of like letting people live just good small lives. Because if they don't get to do that, why did he do what he did?
Yeah.
It's that he wants to make sure that they get to live good small lives.
Beautiful. Next.
I think the next couple of weeks are sort of roller coaster of emotions for her. There is I think her and Yvain begin like re-exploring their relationship and stuff, but I think it's quite difficult at times because they're different people, and I think throughout all of this Nyx has sort of been surviving, and now she's at a point where she's survived, I think, and also being around Yvain, who is full of anger. I think that anger has bled over, and she could hold that anger for Sikaros and then quickly shifted it over to Saber Bar, but I think there's a part of her that's like, that anger is always there, and sometimes it shifts over to like her parents, of being like, why didn't they just accept it, and just I think there'd be moments that she wouldn't like when she would like feel angry at maybe Cam. If Cam's feeling this way, I think there would be a part of her that's like, why didn't he just do this sooner?
Yeah.
And then there'd be part of it that's angry at Yvain for not like finding her sooner, and it would just be this really...
Nyx kills Cam is what you're saying.
Nyx kills Cam.
Yeah. And
Yvain. Plot twist. No, I think, that's all like the dark...
Yeah, like it's the stuff that you deal with as a person.
That she doesn't... Yeah, and she doesn't know how to deal with that. So but on the other, like on the flip side, there are moments of like complete and utter happiness of her and Yvain being reunited, because even though they're different people now, there is definitely a deep love there between the two of them. So I think she tries to keep busy. She probably shifts to like working mainly at night because absolutely fucked the sun.
What kind of work?
I think she'd want to keep a hand in, or try to, of what was happening with people in these houses, and like finding if anyone new came about, she'd want to like make sure they were seen to and sorted. And
community outreach stuff.
Yeah, like community outreach stuff, and also like rekindling that relationship with Yola, who her god, who I think is someone else where she's like, Yola sort of saved her by blessing her with those powers, but on the flip side, kind of let that happen to her. So there's also that. So I think maybe if there's a temple, she might work at it in a kind of I don't know how I feel about you as a god, but like I'm gonna do some good work. Yeah, maybe that's a lot, I feel, but it's not.
Yeah, I think Vane talks to you, opens up about as much as you want to hear.
Yeah.
About the sort of adventures. I mean, that's she I think at first she tries to pitch them as adventures, but they are just these sort of grueling escapades into the lengths that she went to try and find you, and that there are great swathes of the world that only know her as the Mad Widow, because she was just traveling around asking, interrogating people about her lost wife, and everyone was like, oh, we'll help, sure. This is somebody who just like fell down a well or like got kicked by a donkey, and this woman's just lost her mind and believes she's still alive.
Oh my god, that breaks my heart. You see, I think it's stuff like that would like, she wouldn't want to let it upset her, but it would, obviously. She'd be like, it's like that anger all over again of like she's been angry for so long and upset about like what happened to her, but it's cool now. Well, now the love of my life was also hurt in this, and now I'm upset about that all over again.
Yeah. I mean, this was one of the great sort of themes that I wanted to explore in this campaign. Is it's never just one person who suffers. It is, it's always a drop in the water. It's always ripples of all the people who are affected, and obviously, if you start ranking trauma, you're in trouble. But it's how people work their way through that and deal with it. Serge,
I think, I've already spoken a little bit about sort of where his head's at with his past and therefore his future at the same time. And I think that kind of persists throughout, throughout the next few weeks, throughout the next year or so, to be quite honest. I think he finds or tries to find joy in the little things, much like Cam said. It's obviously going from such heavy amounts of trauma to a life, an actual life, is a strange place to be. And I think for the first sort of couple of months, like straight away, he wants to find the logbook, like the logs from Saver's glass factory, find where those, find out like where the kind of the trails led, kind of thing, much like Nick's, I think. And I think he would be very, very keen on.
I mean, the glass factory was closed down because it was owned by Saver, so everything was seized, and the glass factory was closed down. And the logbooks are easy to find because they are in the Pale Manor, and they're happy to share that information. And from everything they've got, it seemed that there was only records of those 3 houses.
And I think that's sort of the paranoia of having, actually almost kind of having to find more. Is fairly all-consuming at times, and quite exhausting for Serge. So as I say, I think there's that juxtaposition between that and what is actually a really, really lovely life that he's sort of started to make for himself. We've spoken about the depressing bit. Now,
do you still work in the music shop?
I think absolutely, yeah. And I think, whilst we're all so pro this relationship, and I'm not saying it's breaking down before anyone says anything. We're all so pro this relationship, but the elephant in the room is that Serge is like ludicrously romantically and emotionally immature, and I think it takes a while to kind of get the get the right balance, kind of thing. I think Serge kind of overcorrects to start off with, and starts getting deeply into like romance fiction, romance novels. There's a certain writer that he kind of voraciously reads all of the titles.
A smut education.
A smut education, if you will. And funnily enough, books like Dominating the Beast and The Knight in Tight Tights are not quite the right kind of fit for...
He's going to be the most confusing shag ever, because he only knows how to fuck ogres.
They're not... Head Ogre Heels is another one of the titles that come to mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where I think Akri and him have to find some sort of like balance, but ultimately it's actually a really lovely relationship, I think, and they do find balance in each other. They find sort of, you know, that happy medium. I mean, Serge starts to make the shop look like a fucking beach house because he sort of...
You're gonna have to fight him every step of the way just even to open the shutters.
Well, this is the thing. Like he goes sort of for
It's
a
like
swim.
a Hollister now.
He goes for a swim every morning and tries to find something, a bit of coral, a little bit of interestingly sort of worn away kind of what's it called?
Sea glass?
Like wood or sort of sea glass and stuff like that.
Bits of old wood. I can't.
Like, but it's his way of saying, hey, you know what, you matter to me, you are on my mind, like, hello, I care, kind of thing. And it's
like
you know,
a cat bringing
Serge
a
is a
dead
crow.
bird.
he absolutely is.
Beach goth. I love that.
But yeah, I think that's kind of that becomes his kind of routine for a while. He goes to work.
Something that happens fairly quickly. I think I've spoken to you a little bit about this already, but
Akri shoots Serge with a gun.
Something that happens fairly quickly after the Pale Manor is Akri had not been told previously that she had revealed herself to be a Rakshasa, and his instinct is actually get mum, because she was not lying when she said that he was an immigrant of hell. His mother is a resident of hell. And
Get mum?
Get mum.
Get mum! Who's his mum?
Well, you don't know, that's for the future, but you don't know.
Wait, so we can kill Sitcross a third time?
Go to hell, kill him again, let's do it. But he is like, he has better knowledge of all things hellish and infernal, and he's respectful of your boundaries, and he's extremely patient of the driftwood that you keep bringing in. And
I think, to be fair, that in itself is a wonderful kind of I'm trying to think of the right word. There's like a mutual kind of holding up by the bootstraps type thing surrounding this entire kind of situation, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's a wonderful kind of way of that rift that, to be quite honest, that rift that sort of Nix was talking about, not in the same way, but like it's a way to bridge the gap kind of thing. I think quite nice
For him to be,
I think it's a very
helpfully invested in your trauma, sort of thing, rather than just kind of, so it doesn't feel like pity. It's more, let's work on this together. I can help. Yeah.
I think on top of that, it's a very prolific time for him musically, and he writes a lot of songs, and he would encourage you to participate in that as well. You know, when it's a quiet day in the shop, he'll just start writing songs, and I think if you are willing to, you learn an awful lot about, you know, the boring theory shit that comes with music, as well as the sort of inspirational kind of part of it.
Yeah.
So it's a very kind of inspiring moment of, you know, anyone who is like me, like Zan, like any of those people who finds great solace in music. There is a great deal of catharsis and self-soothing that happens in writing songs.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I think, sorry, just very quickly, the other thing, the other part of his life that I haven't really we haven't really gone into yet. I think he spends as much time as possible with Marla and the children and the stories, and kind of gets as much information about Bez and as much information about you know, what will be the future Sons of Salt. And I think I don't really want to go over with you right now the sort of potential meeting of the family or anything like that. I think
I think we can save that.
I think that's something that I, as Tom, let alone as Serge, I'm not really kind of, you know, I don't think I'm necessarily ready to sort of go into that kind of stuff. But I think you know, the intention and the kind of the sort of forward momentum is definitely there, and is definitely sort of like working towards getting to know Bez, getting to know the Sons of Salt potentially, and getting to know my parents. But yeah.
Beautiful. So, we had some questions already from the Discord.
We do. If you have any questions in chat, drop them in the chat. Liv, did you have them up, or did you want me to ask them?
Pardon me?
Did you have the questions from the Discord up, or did you want me to ask them?
Not really. I can quickly grab them if you want.
I mean, I can grab them. I've got them right in front of me. I just.
You got them. Go for it.
Yeah. So, Rooney, thank you very much for dropping all of these questions. We will go through some and then pick some from chat and then kind of jump back and forth. So, guys.
What has happened? What's leaked?
What?
Tom's.
He's a spider friend, but he ran away.
Oh.
How did the escape from the house in session 0 go down? Was it something your characters had planned in advance, or did it happen spur of the moment because of changed circumstances? I think between Lydia and Tom should cover this, considering how instrumental Serge was.
Yeah.
Well, for starters, the actual session 0 was also us like trialing the Foundry software, so it was not really like a proper D&D game. We'd done an awful lot of talking about how it all went down. But yeah, Tom.
Yeah, I mean that was my first sort of going to be my first answer is you know, in character it had been planned. Out of character, fuck no, it hadn't. It didn't go quite as sort of smoothly as we would have liked, but that's D&D, baby.
It was real messy.
Yeah. As we've kind of alluded to, and we saw in a flashback, a lovely little flashback in the penultimate session, the friendship between the three of us sort of began really because of my weird telepathy bullshit. And you know, it was a in true Serge fashion. It was a way to kind of connect, not necessarily as sort of a in order to plan an escape, but just to find connection with people, I think. And yeah, over time, we you know, out of character, we spoke a lot about how this worked, and perhaps I think Nikki and Michelle will be able to say better as to what Nix and Cam sort of felt, but essentially I think the plan came about slowly and then all at once, if that makes sense. I think Nix was, whilst Serge was instrumental in kind of bringing us together, I think it was Nix who was the real linchpin of. Well, no, we were all integral to the plan, but I think Nix was the person who sort of brought it all together, and was the most, as ever, the most kind of cognizant of the ramifications of us escaping. Do you know what I mean?
I think
We had talked about in when we were putting it together how in Cam's lifetime he had seen other failed attempts that had gone very badly, which was one of the reasons why he hadn't kind of been involved in trying to
And
get people out.
I think we agreed that one of them went badly, and it was his fault it went so badly.
Yeah, so I think there was like there's obviously been escape attempts before. Nyx tried to escape a few times, but like never got far enough for it to, like, you know, she probably never actually left the cell. But I think we spoke about it before, how there was another person who was probably the first person who kind of went, look, we can all get out. Look, we can all talk together. Like, let's get out. Formulated, like, spent, you know, probably months formulating this plan, and then Cam unfortunately
Thought the best course of action was a direct course of action, and then said to Sikros that they wanted to leave, and so can they leave?
Yeah. And then unfortunately that meant that person then didn't survive for whatever reason, and then I think after that it was probably
not
again,
just being a dickhead. Like, Cam is.
It was a really sweet and naive thing for Cam to do. Of like, Cam was like, well, he's not like, not, oh, Sikros, it's nice, but like, oh, if you just ask him, it'll be fine. And then I think
Also, don't forget, Cam was not left out of memory meddling.
yeah,
so,
exactly.
You know, if ever Sikros felt like he was losing his grip on Cam, he would just remove bits that made him petulant and you know, kind of placate him, as it were. And you know, I was sort of explained it a little bit to Tom the other day, but for anyone who has a beady enough eye on
The actuallys of the group.
the actuallys of the group would know that the kind of sorcerer, if this cat doesn't stop poking me, I'm gonna fucking lose my shit. His class feature of the aberrant mind, he has to be able to see the people that he is, to create a telepathic link. And we'd never really spoken about the fact that he has never seen Cam, he's never seen Nyx. But in my mind, it was a kind of desperate cry which propelled his abilities. And whilst he was so unstable, having been tortured so much and having his abilities toyed with so much, he suddenly had that kind of additional ability. And the only other time when he also had that was a desperate cry out to a Cree and Mungo in the prison cells. So I very much think that now, as the time progresses between being at that place and being kind of an unstable sorcerer, you know, the further he gets away from that point, the more that feature will settle into what the actual class feature is.
Which is kind of a bittersweet sort of thing, because, you know, if he knows that he can do that, he'll absolutely be constantly sort of chatting to Nyx and Cam and everyone else until he just can't anymore, because he's happy, which is, you know, is a weird sort of bittersweet kind of moment, which I like.
I think you still had some more to say?
Oh, no,
I may be wrong.
no, I think I was then just talking about the escape, and then it was, I think Nyx had learnt enough about Surge and Cam through Surge to kind of plan the escape in a small enough details, like giving Cam the bare essentials of what he needed to know without making him lie, kind of thing. And
Because all Cam really did was wait for Sikros to fall asleep and then open the doors. Like, the actual...
You gave him a sedative.
Yeah,
You gave him a sedative from
yeah.
the dried herbs, which between the three of you, you all discussed, you know, you would say, well, there's something that's hanging up that looks like this.
Which would have
I
been
think
taken
that's
fucking
something.
ages, yeah.
You know, which actually now Michelle knows because I gave her a big debrief of what her background is, but her community of Drow are very into poisons, so
Love
it
that
might have been
Yeah.
some like buried, repressed memory about what could put him under. There was like a dog. He had a dog as well, which seemed like it was constantly on the verge of whether it would attack or not. But of course, we have somebody that can speak to animals, and in the end, I think you told him to run away into the woods, didn't you? And he did.
I told him to run away because we were going to set the house on fire and I didn't want him to get hurt.
Yep. There was an imp that was causing you great problems,
I hate
and
that.
had a boggle. Every house had a boggle, and that boggle did not survive the fire.
R.I.P. Boggle.
Killed it.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Boggle, you're a real one.
Yeah.
That was my first kill of the game, and I did not feel good about it.
And I was genuinely astounded by how little you managed to pick up on your way out. But
Who does that? Who escapes their prison and goes, I'll have a look?
I remember Nyx being constantly very low on hit points.
Yeah.
So all of the aubergines and stuff, the map Lydia made had a shit ton of aubergines in the kitchen.
Oh, that
That's
was
where
it.
they came from.
That's what
You get
So
to a certain point of like getting the walls all lined up, and then you're just trying to make it look better. And I'm like, I just spam the aubergines. I'm like,
aubergines and baguettes, but there was
pie,
like 2
and then a
baguettes. Yeah.
sausage, and then a plate, and then a glass. No, fucking aubergines.
So that's where they came from. I've got a couple more, and then there's a good one from Dan for Michelle. So this one's for Lydia. How long was the forcing magic evil house plot going on? Was Saver directing it all from the beginning, or did she just co-opt it at some point for her own purposes? Oh, she's gonna do it, guys. She's gonna do it.
Here we go.
You ready? Are you ready?
So,
You ready?
so many years it has been going on. So many years.
Can you? There's actually another question that you can maybe answer these both at the same time. This one's much shorter, but you can kind of. How old is Cam, Nyx, and Serge, and how long did they spend in the house? Just.
I don't think that's really for me. I mean, Nyx was there for 10 years. Serge was there for a little bit longer, and Cam was there his whole life. So that you can kind of. I'm not going to tell Nyx for sure how old she is.
You can tell Cam how old he is for the purposes of making sure the timeline lines up properly.
I'd say he's probably mid to late 20s.
But is that not so fucking interesting? Excuse my language, for the first time ever. Isn't that interesting to actually look at the kind of emotional maturity of each of the characters? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that Cam was baby, because he's not.
No.
But the sort
He's
of
also
but he is also baby in a different sense.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's essentially what I'm saying is you did good, Lydia.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Yeah,
There
so-
was, there have been, I think most of anybody that knows me even slightly knows that I'm incredibly fixated with true crime. And when I was younger, I had a real fixation with this particular thing, which is people who've been kidnapped for a long space of time. And there is even like a subsection of that, which is people who have suffered extreme neglect, and their language development and their emotional development and their intellectual development. It's it's brutally heartbreaking, but it's really interesting. And so when they were talking about their ages, which was skewed a little bit younger, I was like, well, they could be any age and still look that way and still appear that way and present that way. It doesn't really matter, but what it does is you think about the time lost by other people and the sheer madness of holding out hope after that amount of time. There is no rational thing that really makes you think that your wife might still be out there if every time you do a locate person spell nothing comes up. Why would you still think that they're alive? It literally doesn't make any sense. So the Sicros himself had been doing this for many, many years before Cam arrived. It has been years and years and years. Saver's been around for a long, long, long time. Marla had mentioned, hadn't she, that Saver's been around. It was one of the things that she said is like, she looks not like her age and she presents as human, so that's a red flag.
It was all her idea from the beginning.
She recruited all of these people. Saver was, for anyone who was like interested in this stuff, I had adapted the Rakshasa. I mean, there is interesting lore about female Rakshasas, which I kind of read and then went, not for me. But I melded it with Bard because they make the best baddies. And she is extremely charismatic, and she's essentially, she could make the best cult leader. And she had found these people who worshipped the ground that she walked on and convinced them to do this thing to make it their life's work. Imagine how wealthy you could be. Imagine the money you could make if you could harness this thing which has not been harnessed before. And she tried many different times over her existence on the material plane to do it. And her plans were not just in Arroway Haven, but also in Wetu. There was a probe council in Wetu who was absolutely in her pocket, which is much scarier than Arroway Haven because Wetu's the capital. And my God, I have to remember that not everyone is as interested.
Lydia,
we love
stop
it. I love it.
What you have to remember is we might potentially come back to these characters, so don't give us too much information.
No, I think I think all of this stuff is absolutely fine. It's
Wait, who's in her pocket?
The Emperor didn't need to explain it to you, but he was mopping up Arroway Haven, Wetu as well as Arroway Haven. She definitely had the pro-council over there in her thrall, and she would have turned the Custers into this dangerous, chaotic, small army that would have allowed her to create a kind of weird martial law in Telespia, or certainly southern Telespia, and she could have created a kind of self-governance. That was what she wanted, and to kind of have this wealth that was created out of being able to sell orbs that could create.
Sorry?
Anybody could
Horbs.
Wealthy people, it would have, even if you don't take into account the self-governance and all of that kind of the political element of it, the entire empire would have been fucked if any rich person with enough money to buy a Horb could suddenly make themselves into a magic person. There is a very, I don't know if anyone's ever put any thought to this, but it's like the entire structure of the civilization is that some can and some can't. You can't have everybody can. It doesn't work like that.
We talk about this a lot, Lydia, with weirdly minor shit, like it would just be like we got fully obsessed with the modify memory spell. Not modify memory, sorry. Encode thoughts, the fucking cantrip. That's fucked.
Yeah.
And I sent Lydia maybe a 13 message rant about how the message cantrip is awful.
Yeah.
It is awful. Mind warding must be so fucking common in big cities, because I'm sorry. Can you imagine walking in a crowd and just someone being able to say shit right into your head? That is fucked.
God,
Well, that's marketing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's, come to this pub, come to this pub, come to this.
I think pubs really.
I mean,
yeah.
You fucking know Weatherspoons would do if they could.
Yeah.
So, I kind of had I sort of weirdly enjoyed this thought of, here's the deal. You can't force magic. No one was successful. Anyone who is pushed and pushed and pushed with the experiments they were doing, they die or they go mad or they eventually die because they're not in control of what they're doing, and they need to be
or they explode and shit
Yeah. It's not possible, and none of the people in the houses were ever actually successful, but they were all so obsessed with Saver that they, it's like in real life experiments, you're not impartial. You want it so bad that you start to look at your results and think, oh, I think I'm getting a little uptick, and it's to do with glass, it's to do with this mineral, it's to do with, that mineral was like a minor amplifier, but it really did nothing at all.
Pavlov fucking wanted that information so well, he drilled holes in the side of a dog's face and put glass windows. Do you think that might be why they're salivating so much, pal? Because they got holes inside their face. You absolute fucking monster.
No idea what you're on.
Pavlovian response. The ring. Don't worry.
Nope. No.
Probably best not to go and read that case study.
let's not.
It's probably,
I'm not
yeah, they idolized her and the one that idolized her the most was the hag, which is why you found a locket of orange fur.
Yeah.
And so she was pushing so hard. She was like, I got it. Send the custards, send them all. In fact, what you would have got was just a lot of dead people and a lot of people who were this modified version of sorcerer.
Wild soul, magic soul, wild soul, wild surge,
Blasting soul,
Wild
the blasting soul sorcerer. Yeah,
Blasting soul.
surge.
And it would have been an absolute shit show. In fact, I had a bunch of notes. It was so frustrating. I wrote all this stuff out, and on the second episode, Michelle, you were like, I opened the book that we took from the house, and I was like, cool, roll Arcana, and you were like, I don't know, it's like a 7 or something. And I was like, a lot of maths, you're not sure.
Yeah.
But so I never really got to share any of that stuff with you. Other people read it and kind of imparted the information back to you. But yeah, essentially they weren't successful. It's not something that really happens in the world. It has been a great mystery. You guys know this because you played so many fucking campaigns with me, but not just in this continent, in other continents. It is a fucking mystery why some people can and some people can't.
I have a character in one of our home games, but that cannot.
Yeah.
Like we have sat down and drawn that line, and like if he tries to do a scroll or certain magic items, it will. Chances are break his mind. Like it's not for all. Like we've had NPCs go through it. I have some more questions that are slightly related, but before that,
I won't waffle on so much with all of them.
Relax.
I'll be concise.
Zan has a couple, and
Zan.
for Michelle and Tom, and then I've got one from Sweet, and then we'll go back to the list that really sent in. So Michelle,
Yes.
your line about looking at the stars every night and not knowing why, and then later realising she was just looking for Yvain, did you come up with that on the spot, or did you think about it beforehand because it was so good? And genuinely, do any of you think about little bits of dialogue you want to perform pre-game, or is it all in the moment?
I'd love to be that well prepared, and I would say I do both. Like I do think about like things I want to say pre-game. They never get said because I've forgotten about them, or like I've thought about a million things.
She'll tell me about it afterwards.
I'll tell Nikki like I should have said this. This is what I was gonna say, or this is what I was thinking.
We go through the game again, but with Michelle's prepared notes after every game.
I need to debrief after every game of D&D I play. But no, I didn't necessarily think of it, but I just the one thing I remembered from the beginning of the game before I even knew about Yvain or anything like that was Nyx just had this yearning obsession to be looking at the moon and looking up at the stars and looking at the night sky, which was obviously tied into the idea of me being like, she's a Twilight cleric. And then obviously when Lydia described Yvain and said, her eyes, they look black, but if you look really close, they're like a galaxy. I was just like, how beautiful that, Nyx was maybe just
Trying to find
that's what she was looking for.
Yeah.
That's what she could remember most.
That's cute.
But yeah, I stay in the moment for the most part. I don't really, I can't really plan stuff. I'm just fully in it when we're playing. That's what I'd say.
I write out stuff beforehand. I mean, there were a bunch of fucking horrendous things that I had written beforehand because I knew I wouldn't think of them in the moment, because he had that ring of Zikros had that ring, so I was like, you better write out some real shitty things to say to them.
We'll come on to those shitty things, don't you worry. Right, I'm going to answer that, and then Tom, you get the our side of that question and another question, which leads into another question.
Cool.
Not for Cam, I do not think of things to say. I did not think of things to say prior to the stream, at all. I'm head empty walking into the stream. We've spoken about it before, and to kind of part the command of the touch. Obviously, I'm doing like the Streamlabsy stuff at the same time. I'm okay. Like I like multitasking and stuff. When I'm playing other characters, that if I have a character that I'm fucking known for going to weirdly deep and obtuse metaphors in some characters, or going on big fucking like speechy moments. I do think of those, but not in a I've written it down word for word. Just in a more the same way my few brief attempts at stand up. It was a list of like words to kind of like kick me off. I would mentally keep a list. So yeah, Cam, absolutely not. Everything that Cam said was thought of after I'd said it. Tom, I want you to answer that question, and then answer from Zan again. When did Serge realise he liked Akri or Akri?
Akri.
Okay, and then everyone, what is your favourite part of the game? So Tom, you're going to answer that Akri question and what's your favourite part of the game, and then we'll move through. I'm trying to keep the flow going.
I'm just gonna.
Okay, cool. So the first question, in case it wasn't already obvious, no, I don't plan. The chaos that comes from Surge, that came from Surge, was full chaos from my own brain, as everything else on this stream is. But I guess a sort of slightly more in-depth and much wankier sort of way of saying that is like, as an actor, I like to keep in the moment, and I like to be reactive, not proactive in my character choices. I think that's, for me personally, that's a really, really important thing that I hold dear to anything that I'm doing. If it's performative, like I don't like to be too restrictive on myself for that. The second question.
When did Serge realise he liked Akri?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, and I have got to be honest. I'm not actually entirely sure. There was a moment which I kind of think is inherently the moment, if that makes sense. Like the fact that there wasn't like a kind of, with Marcus, there was that kind of, oh my god, kind of moment where he fancied him a little bit, and that being the first crush became the infatuation, which inherently
moment. When was the moment with Marcos?
It was okay. So it was a similar sort of moment. It was the fact that it was just another person that could.
Because you went for a walk with him and asked him how he wrote songs. Was it then?
Yeah, I think it was the moment of seeing someone so in love with what they do. It was that conversation that was the sort of infatuation for Marcus, is that kind of, oh shit, you're passionate. And with Akri,
because I remember after the first session that you'd met him and you guys had you'd found him very funny and everything, being so self-deprecating, and afterwards you were like, people were like, ooh, in the chat, but I don't, it's not for Serge. Akri is not for Serge. And I was like, all right, I'll have to up my game then.
Yeah. Well, so this is the thing. I think I had a moment in my head that kind of was potentially a bit of a, that's what it was. So I think the moment itself was a non-moment with Akri, which I think was kind of almost the important thing. It was that kind of gradual kind of slide. But I think one of the first moments where it was like, oh shit, okay, was coming back from leaving for 3 days after his very first shift, and kind of being just accepted back. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just like essentially what we did is we ran again. In Serge's mind, what we did is we fled a situation again, and he felt incredibly guilty about leaving, but he knew it was what he had to do. And when he came back, of course he was all sort of charm and all bluster, like he always is with everything, but it hid a slightly deeper emotion of like longing for a place again. Like he'd willingly given up an actual place that he'd had carved out for him, and I think he kind of believed that it would be, well, no, fuck you. And actually that acceptance of him back, not only the acceptance, but the, oh no, I thought it was because of me, I thought you just didn't like me, was that kind of moment of going, oh, hey, you know what? Good. There's a really, I'm very good at shitty analogies, but I see it as they're so opposite, but ultimately, like, so is a lock and a key. But like a lock and a key sort of like on their own is they are actively not the same object. Like it's very, very clear that they're not the same object, but they don't work on their own, if that makes sense.
It's also a wonderfully phallic analogy.
Yeah. But they don't work on their own, so therefore, like, despite the fact that they're so different, you as soon as you see them working in tandem, you can tell that they're sort of meant as a composite kind of
They
object,
are one thing.
Yeah. That's it, I think.
Tom, what was your favourite part of the game?
Oh, fuck me.
Also, I'm really disappointed.
Monsieur.
I'm really disappointed you didn't say lock and agree, but
Croque Monsieur. No, honestly, my favourite moments of this game were the moments of levity that came from, and I know that's a weak sauce fucking answer because the whole campaign was incredible, but God, it was like as an actor, as a sort of performer in the game and in the sort of story, and like taking on a lot of the emotions, it was tough a lot of the time. And Lydia, I think, will be the first to admit that it's something that she's kind of sort of sprinkled into this campaign a lot more, are those like weird little kind of absurdist slapstick moments that that just gave us and the audience like real moments of sort of beautiful, strange, like merriment. That's my favourite bit.
Lydia, what's been your favourite bit about the campaign?
Shit, I thought I was going to go last.
No.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree about those little moments of where the lot of us lose our shit, and I have to try and put it back on the rails. But I'd be fucking lying if it wasn't the moment when Yvain came back, because when I'm going about my day, I mean, this sort of connects back to talking about when you sort of plan, whether you plan stuff, and obviously I don't come here with like no notes at all and just go, let's see what happens, fucking woohoo. I do a lot of planning, but some of the stuff that, like, when I'm driving around or when I'm going for a walk or whatever, and it's the stuff that I kind of fixate on, and the scene sort of fills itself out. It's those moments that I really enjoyed. Basically all of you, but specifically Serge and Nyx were pasts that I could fill out. I could kind of, and obviously I feel this was a campaign that was heavily skewed towards Nyx's, and I'm sure there'll be ones in the future that are skewed towards other characters, but being able to weave that past, weave the memories that came back to her, how that was going to come about, that's my jam. As a wanker, I like to I like to think about these.
Oh, this is an old podcast meme, but
Oh god.
that one's just for Rudy, I think.
Yeah, just for you, Rudy.
Michelle, what's been your favourite bit of the campaign?
I mean, Croque Monsieur. No, like, I think I agree. Obviously, Croque Monsieur for some reason made me laugh so much, but I think there was it's because of that roller coaster you took us on of like having such intense and like traumatic things happen that finding out a man just had his head bit was just so funny. But no, obviously, Yvain returning was probably my favourite bit because I think I'm very lucky in a way. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that Lydia just knows me well enough that I felt comfortable to go, I don't know my backstory, here, go ham. And she went, I've been playing D&D with you for 4 or 5 years, or whatever. I know all of your weaknesses. Bam. Here they all are.
Wife.
No, what I enjoy about it is I know a lot of the base no stuff that you like, and then I can mix it up. You know, it's not like I went, they've got to be a dragon. Wasn't.
Michelle just wants a powerful partner. Just full stop. In all of the games, she just wants someone incredibly powerful to be her partner.
I just.
You don't have to step on me to love me, but it helps.
Exactly.
I know that Michelle loves a story about sneaking out at night, but I sort of fashioned Nyx to be this sort of, before she was kidnapped, she was this dreamy, sweet, like, away with the, I don't want to say away with the fairies, it's not like she slipped to the Feywild, but like she would just sort of gallop through the forests and not want to pay attention to things, not want to knuckle down. She was not someone who wanted her hair tightly curled. She just wanted to be free and do whatever she wanted. And so I sort of wanted a little spin on it that was a little bit different to some of the stuff that I know, the tropes that I know you love so well.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, you did such a great job of, like, sprinkling in, knowing the core, like, elements of what it is that I love. And then I trust you enough to just fully go, like, yeah, cool. Yeah, I've got a wife. I love her. Sweet. Excellent.
Honestly, Rooney?
Before we go on to our answer also.
Yes.
And I'm gonna give the wankiest answer.
Oh, here we go.
As a wanker.
I'm not a wanker. I have no formal wanker training, but I'm very adept. I've been very spoiled when I've been playing D&D, in that, like, since the very beginning, I've had a group of people who met in person. We all learned D&D. My first time playing D&D, I was a DM, and, like, we've been playing that with that same group of people. Like, it's changed a bit, but the core group has remained, and they're great to play with, and it's been incredible.
And people is us. Oh no, wait. Shit.
Oh no.
And I also have, like, this tremendous group of people, and, like, I'm spoiled for, like, incredibly high quality games. Like, you guys have seen the pictures of, like, the maps, and you guys have seen Lydia's world, and, like, the art that Michelle does. I know that my D&D experience is not the normal experience. Like, I know that. So my favourite bit of this has been having a meta around the campaign. The people in the chat watching, the Discord, the very recent people watching the YouTube and tweeting along to it. I, as a person, just really like the kind of, like, if that doesn't explain me, Rooney, nothing does. I really enjoy the kind of people taking in the characters and, like, observing them, and I know that, like, Cam has, like, really resonated with a few people, and that's been especially nice, because as well, Cam is, like, made up of a lot of, like, elements of me. He also has I wanted to try some things. I think I had a conversation with Zan about this. I don't know if I mentioned it to any of you, but Cam has a lot of traits that you would find in a woman in a Regency novel.
Oh yeah.
Is, like, overwhelmed by flowers, easily too hot, like those things. I think they're hilarious and are the wildest flaws to, like, have. And I thought, what if I put them in a 6-foot barbarian? And then
we did talk about it because we talked about that meme about what women have died of.
And it's just a list of Cam's flaws. Like,
one day Cam will die for having his hands will get too cold.
Yeah, like it's just he's spent too long in London. Like, it's just
You don't need me. You don't need a big foe. You just need him to like,
Yeah.
I don't know, get a bad shock, get some terrible news, and he'll.
His soup is cold.
He is. I wanted to make the gentlest barbarian, and I think it's been lovely. And I really enjoyed people like speculating on classes and stuff at the beginning. Really enjoyed people like kind of like interpreting character. I think it was Rooney who called it out first, like Cam being like Ace Arrow, and I know like I say like Winter called out and I think Sweet did too about his like stimming and stuff, and like just breathe backwards for a second. Like I really loved seeing people react to something I'm making, even if it is just like improvisational. Like
That's the thing. As narcissistic as it sounds, like it's we've all seen the fucking meme of like talking about someone talking about your D&D campaign to someone else who's not in it is the equivalent of talking about your dreams. Like no one fucking cares, and they're just humoring you.
Yeah,
whereas
but this is like Tom telling me his dreams because I'm sat at the edge of his bed listening to him all night. So it like I'm there and I'm invested.
So many feet.
Yeah, like it's been wonderful, and I hope that you guys feel a sense of like investment in the characters, and like honestly like a small sense of ownership in this campaign. In that, like, obviously this would not happen if you guys weren't showing up. If a tree falls, if 4 people produce a D&D stream and no one tunes in to watch it, does it really happen? Like, it doesn't exist.
As those 4 people at times, yes, it fucking does still.
Yeah, and like sticking with us through like the tech stuff, like and like doing the producery stuff, and still feeling like I'm able to create a character that's like resonant with people. It's been very rewarding when other areas of my life have been less rewarding, i.e. work. So it's been nice, and it's been a refuge in a choppy time. Speaking of Cam, Lydia, see, this is why I did it this way around. Was Sigros telling the truth about how he obtained Cam, or was he just saying whatever he thought would cause the most psychic damage?
You'll have to.
You didn't even fucking do it.
Come on, do it. Say the line.
You don't know.
There we go. Right. In which case, why was Cam used as a servant instead of a subject? Did Sigros ever try to force magic on him?
He did. It was one of the things you were going to discover in the book. That I've got the little quote thing here that Cam started off as subject C. He was experimented on from. He was like, this could be different if I try it on a newborn, and he kept failing, obviously, but Sikros's like take on his house take was, if I get races that are innately magic, maybe that will give me an edge, because we've got Drow, we've got Water Genasi, and we've got Furbog, all of who have a good amount of innate magic in them, and he kept postponing. That is very much down to Sikros would never have admitted it, never, but he was charmed by Cam, and so he just, instead of killing him like he killed a lot of other people,
fucking charmed enough, the bastard.
He would just say, well, we'll wait until he can talk, we'll wait until he's a teenager, we'll wait until puberty because there might be a change there, and he would try then, but I think Cam then became big. And he really appreciated, he kind of realized that he could be a tool.
Yeah, because Sigros is a small man in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
So having that's cool.
If not, Sweet's got a question in the chat about the Emperor.
Oh yes. Does the Emperor have a favoured child? And if so, and if it's not a spoiler, who are they, and can you tell us about them?
We know of a few of his children.
I love that. Like I'm waiting for Julian to send me a message. Like he's very young and it's like, Julian.
We got a couple of his kids that have like rocked up, and if you remember, one of them turned up in the Laying Down the Law episode. That is, I mean, he has a lot of kids because let's face it, he's got 21 spouses, and beyond that, he then also has children who are formally recognized that are born of courtesans. So he's got a lot of children, but of the ones that we know of, he has a few kind of favored that are essentially offspring of like the consort who's the first wife, so she holds an awful lot of importance. And there's
that's like a political position amongst Julian's
she's considered, she's the only spouse who's also an advisor, and every emperor or empress, that their first spouse is also the consort who's also an advisor. And you haven't met the child of the consort yet, but that is definitely, you know, not just favored, but like spotlight. That's Prince William essentially. And
not Lilibet.
wow, I really skipped over Charles there. I'm not a monarchist. I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, skip over him.
Skip him into a fucking river.
Prick.
But he has a very favored, he has the head courtesan who is an Asimar. I've been talking a lot about this person over and over. She's one of my faves. His head courtesan is an Asimar called Euphoria, and she's fucking beautiful. She's an Asimar of Lady Thorn, so she's like representative of beauty and poetry and love. And he has wanted her to marry him ever since they first met, but she is very, very passionate about having a job and not a husband, so she has stuck to being a sex worker and has like pioneered the way that sex work happens in the empire. And she has a child called Moira, who is a fire genasi, and who was at the fight. She was.
Yeah, she fucking was.
She's a player character played by my very, very dear friend Trudy, and Trudy has played a little bit of.
Oh no, Lydia froze.
No.
No.
I thought it was me again.
No.
We have a frozen Lydia.
Yeah, because we lost the music.
What I will do is,
Whilst she's gone, just a very sort of quick thing. Obviously, that little group of people, in case you couldn't tell already, were Michelle's character, my character, and Trudy's character
Moira.
from another sort of short campaign that we've done.
He wasn't. There was another person who
was never
wasn't
inducted.
there because he wasn't inducted into like this secret organization. But just because you all called me out on it, saying that I can only romance powerful people, Eli is
very powerful wizard.
He's not that
A
powerful.
very powerful wizard. Oh,
And also comes from a very, very powerful and important family.
yeah, he's politically and magically incredibly powerful.
He's not politically powerful.
Isn't he from a very important family?
He's from a very rich family, right?
Oh yeah, but like it's like they're all rich from there.
Yeah, and
I wasn't.
You weren't. Yeah, that Kaz Tom's wizard was there. My wizard Gwen was there. Moira, who's a warlock, was there.
And just because obviously Lydia brought it up, like sex work is viewed very differently in this world. Like,
Sex work is viewed as it should be.
Yeah, basically.
It's like if you are good at what you do, like you are revered as you would be if you're good at in any profession. It's like there is no scandal involved in these many partners of the emperor. It is expected, encouraged, and whatnot.
Funnily enough, I mean, obviously, a lot of the people in chat currently know Lydia's saying she seems to have lost internet and power, so we'll keep nattering away for a little while.
See if she can get it back.
If she can get it back, but yeah, no. In case you haven't already realised, funnily enough, it's a very inclusive world that Lydia has built, and not just kind of it doesn't just go skin deep. I mean, the reality is, if you're living in a magical world that has, you know, ways to alter your race, your sex, your your very knowledge. Obviously, it's all gonna, you know, sexuality is kind of immaterial to a certain extent.
Yeah, and also,
as he-
I just want to say, all my homies love Lady Thorne.
Oh, that's another one of the books actually that Serge read was pegged by Ladies Thorne.
Oh no.
That one didn't go down as well from what he heard. He had
That's
to
what she
get
said.
that in a second-hand bookshop, but yeah.
Just trying to fix. Hey, Lids. Lids is
Hi.
back.
I just like momentarily lost power, which was fun.
You're back, and that's the main thing.
But yeah, Lady Thorne's just fucking great.
We love Lady
We
Thorne.
love.
Yeah,
Lady
the
Thorne.
question though was about children. You've met a couple of children.
We weren't answering that fucking question, did we? Were we? Like, how would we answer that?
They're you know, it's tough being a child of the Emperor. There's just so many. It was something that I talked to Trudy about a lot when she was playing Moira, is what it's like. I mean, Moira is kind of a favored child because she's naughty and rebellious, and he absolutely loves that. And she pays him no respect whatsoever, and he absolutely loves that. And he favors her mother, and Moira will tread her own path no matter what, and that's the kind of thing that he respects very highly. But there's a whole thing that comes with being a favored child of the Emperor, which we'll talk about, you know.
That's for another time. I would love, maybe one day, maybe Christmas, just to get Lydia in front of a little fucking campfire, like a little campfire, a little fire, although
do that.
and then just get Lydia to read like a bunch of like short stories about the world.
That would be very
Can we do it in the woods and actually have it as a campfire?
I accidentally said campfire instead of
Halloween
fireplace, and then I
woods.
sort of love the idea.
Yeah.
Lydia, we got some more questions.
Yes.
Let me know if you just can't. Since you imagined the campaign only running about 8 episodes, were there certain major beats in the story you hadn't anticipated, or did you think it would all go a lot faster? I mean, not having internet for a month didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, look, I am notoriously bad at that, like that. So I almost have no concept of time whatsoever.
Our sessions are about 10 hours.
I want to fit in everything. I have so many ideas, and then because I have no concept of time, I'm like, right, well, we'll like, someone will fall in love, we'll like meet a bunch of people, there'll be a huge fight, you'll you know, this, that, and the other, and that will fit into about half an hour, I reckon. So that is the way that my mind works. Then the tech difficulties happened, and what happened when we were endlessly like buffering and stuff was I never wanted to do a big reveal or start a battle or have you discover something really important when I wasn't quite sure if people were
And we
able
also
to see
couldn't switch, and we got to a point where we couldn't move to a battle
Yeah.
without
So-
completely fucking everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got
So
real bad.
yeah, it was one of those things where that I'm not saying we definitely wouldn't have been 8 sessions anyway.
No.
But
I didn't believe you when you told me.
there have been times when I've like been torturing myself and I'm like, wow, the narrative, man, real saggy in the middle, Lydia. And then I realized that that's because I was often like slightly wide-eyed going, are we on the internet? Are we on? So, and that's why we had one episode was basically interviewing being interviewed by a landlady for a position. That was a whole session because I was like, there's not a lot else that we can do really.
But
I wouldn't change
I just
a
want to
thing.
say, like, so we have tech issues on several sides.
Yeah.
The most significant, which at the time was whatever the fuck was going on our end. Obviously, Lydia has tech limitations. Tom had and has slightly different ones now because his house was made before I was born and before maybe even Lydia was born, way back when.
That'd be ridiculous.
It's Tom's house is held together by duct tape and it does not conduct Wi-Fi very well.
Yeah, it's real fun. Real
But
fun.
I want to say, as the person who can see everything, you guys have done a really good job of, and you guys have definitely got better at maintaining yourselves because it's very easy to go, oh, and then I think that's what kind of kills, and I think sometimes we just have to learn to plow through. So while that whole month was fucking awful, like just generally, it was also, I will just say, in 2021, to live a month without Wi-Fi it's bad. It forced me into the office sooner than I would have liked. It really hit Michelle's productivity at work. Like, it was fucking brutal. But we got through it, and I think we learned a lot as a result.
Yeah.
I learned how to streamline a lot of stuff, and like we've done a lot kind of like on the back end. Lots of really fucking boring shit to talk about, but it's been done.
I think we should just be proud of ourselves.
We did a campaign.
We did a campaign.
We maybe shouldn't have finished it the same week as Critical Role.
I don't know. I like the fucking balls it shows we had. Like, yeah, go on. We can finish the campaign.
Shall we wait for
campaign 3 to
season
start
2 to drop as they start as well?
Yeah. Let's
do that.
But no, I just think we should
We're
be proud
gonna
of
post
ourselves.
our character silhouettes in the replies to theirs.
Come at me.
Well, you can't see my character either.
Yeah, we should just be proud of ourselves because we've been trying to do this for like actual years, and things always get in the way.
We're cursed.
We are cursed.
So many things.
You know, and as time has gone on, so many other people have got into D&D and started streaming their games. And, you know,
when did we have our first conversation about this video?
Oh my god. I've literally just said I have no concept of time.
2017, 2018, one of the two.
I think 2017.
But to be fair, as time has gone on, I've been systematically killing the fairies that cursed us in the first place.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
There'll be no repercussions for that.
Yeah, that can't go wrong.
No.
I'm also definitely
fairies like wasps. They don't secrete pheromones.
I'm also definitely cursed and or a demon and or my imaginary friend was when I was younger was an actual dead child. Lydia.
Guys, Nikki, why are you bringing that up?
I think it's funny. I think I'm firmly cursed.
Back onto. I was just trying to say I'm proud of us. Let's go back.
Lydia, what were some of the possible side quests, plot beats that the characters walk past that you can talk about now?
Oh my god. I couldn't work out what you were saying, Tom.
I apologise if you're wearing headphones.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that we didn't
Loads.
get.
It was going to be 400 sessions.
I know we missed a lot of the hand stuff because of me.
I had a huge. No, it wasn't because of you. Michelle.
I absolutely stand the whole new storyline. Fuck off. If I'm really going to be, this kind of is maybe exposing the way that I work a little bit too much, but I'd actually commissioned art from Michelle that was the person who runs the Helping Hand. And oh my God, so hot. Because one of my very, 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 very early ideas is that the person that ran the city also ran the hand, because how frightening is that because of the shape-shifting qualities, you could run both things and have a complete stranglehold on everything. And then before we even started, I was like, no, I actually think it would be really cool to have the guild as like the Thieves Guild be a source of comfort and refuge for them. And then Michelle she just mused at one point that she kind of wouldn't mind the thought of multi-classing into Gloomstalker. And I was like, okay, I'll make up a bunch of the hand, the Helping Hand, and introduce them. And it will be hard. I always knew it would be hard because they're gonna approach traumatized people and say, this is what we do. If you're talented and you can help us, you've got a place with us. Somebody who's traumatized and just come out of the situation, they're not gonna like it. So I always knew there was a chance that would happen. And so, Remy didn't know that, but Remy's
tough as anything and isn't really fazed by it. So there was a huge plot line with that and who the leader of those guys were in the city, and also there was such a boring old bitch, but I'd done so much research into the guilds in the city, and like if you wanted to be a city like grounds person and do the hanging baskets, the guild that you'd have to join, the dues that you have to pay. If you wanted to be a gondolier in the city, the dues you have to pay, and then all the stuff that you have to do. And what Cam could have done is become an apprentice, yada, 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 all of these like different ways. But you can't just pick up a job. You have to be part of a guild in order to do it. And all the people that you would meet there, I had all these characters that you would meet on the guild table and work out who you were joining, and mentor characters for Cam who would...
You say that as... you said, like, you're a boring bitch, as though D&D and WotC have not already done that in Waterdeep. Like they have literally done that, and you're going.
They did it for a book that made them lots of money. I'm just here with my doing my 2-finger typing.
What are you talking about, Lydia? We're millionaires now thanks to this stream. I don't. Have you not seen?
Stop being fucking a cree, all right? Just stop it.
But yeah, I had created not just people that would guide Nyx into this space that would feel comfortable for her, because a lot of it was at night and a lot of it was not in sunlight, and teaching her about how to embrace all of that, but somebody that could take Cam under their wing and teach them about the natural world. And I was full of all sorts of bullshit metaphors about pruning the plant and cutting away the dead heading roses and all of that kind of philosophical bullshit that comes with gardening.
I love it, and I would have. The thing is, I remember mentioning maybe Gloomstalk, right near the beginning, just because I felt a bit like, I don't know how the cleric thing is going to work, because she wasn't 100% sure who a god was and stuff for a while. And it just, I like thinking about the directions people could go, and then it just didn't really necessarily fit her. I couldn't imagine her leaving the boys, and being like, I'm going to run around on my own at night. And...
Well, it was only that you don't sleep when, so I kind of wanted to fill that time, I guess. It's a good 4 hours of Thieves Guild fun stuff.
Yeah, I think
maybe in the future.
That's like side stuff for like a bigger campaign, maybe. I think that's all of our questions.
Oh.
Now, before we do a sphere, Lydia, I'm really fucking about to put you on the spot right now.
Oh.
And then, so Lydia, did you want to give us a vibe, maybe in 2 or 3 words for campaign 2?
2 or 3 words? Nikki, have you met me?
Yeah, do fucking more then, but I didn't want to fucking put you on the spot too much.
Do a vibe. Vibe check.
Have you fucking met me? 2 or 3 words, have you fucking met me?
Wait,
I don't do nothing in 2 or 3 words.
Lydia, think about it for a second. Because, I just want to say thanks, guys, for playing D&D. Thanks, Liz, for making this campaign.
I don't know why I wave.
And, I love Serge, I love Nyx, I love Cam. I love them a lot, and I didn't think I would necessarily in such a... I have to say I am someone who... It takes me a long time to get connected to a character. Thanks. I've just fell in love with them all, and now they're going. But they'll be back, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That's the fucking thing, though, innit? Like, I think we're incredibly lucky in the sense that not only do we enjoy the 4 of us playing this stupid, nerdy game together, but, like, I don't know. I will always love
You.
the characters that that we come up with together, and it's just a wonderful thing. Apart from Fox, he's a cunt.
You will one day.
Tom, you almost censored yourself, and then you're like, nah, fuck it.
We all.
Lydia, we've had 6 people redeem Lydia Be Nice to Lydia, which is a new thing that they can redeem their channel points
Oh
to.
no!
But also, yeah, give us the vibes for campaign 2.
Yeah, give people
I'll say this. Firstly, if you you're ever gonna partake in watching some film and TV that would get you in the vibe, I've got 2 things that are on wildly different ends of the spectrum that will put you in the right place. And the first thing is Lost, the old TV
The whole
series.
thing.
The whole 7.
Yeah.
You've got
The whole thing.
4
Bad
weeks.
bits, all the good bits.
You've got a month. You've got a month to watch the whole fucking thing.
And if you don't watch it, you can't watch the strip.
The entrance fee is the fucking seasons of trash TV.
I expect a dissertation and for you to return the box set on VHS to Lydia so she can feel how warm it is.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the film The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe, which
You got it,
is
Sam.
fucking wild and a bit scary. And I think that those 2 wildly opposing feels together is going to give us the right feel for what we're doing. And I think the other thing that I could say is this is going to have a real feel of characters having to think about personal development and what they're running from,
Because we haven't done that at all.
and I'm gonna fuck their shit up, guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wholly fuck their shit up.
I have to say, I am so fucking excited about next campaign. I was already excited about this campaign, but next campaign it cannot come sooner.
So I think obviously we did a thingy reveal instead of a character reveal because I was having a bad day at work and I wanted to show someone something I've made that someone would appreciate. I came home from school with my macaroni art and my mum didn't care, so I took it down the park and I showed the woman feeding the ducks.
Congratulations, Sam.
Jesus, Sam. Yeah, I'm incredibly excited, but we have noticed a trend, and I hope this trend continues forever, which is big hats. So look forward to another big hat.
Big hats.
Big
hat.
boy.
Always with the big hats.
Big hat. But thank you very much, Lydia.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm not going to bully you into saying something nice about yourself this time. But thank you very much. It's been a wonderful delight of a campaign. I've enjoyed doing this little epilogue Q&A. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah.
It's been
So
lovely
much.
having you all here. It's been lovely having you guys invested in the characters. It's been lovely having you guys invested in the story.
I'm gonna pop some stuff in the Discord, like the shitty little one-liners that Sikros was gonna say.
Do it.
Yes, please.
Also,
You big
so
fuck.
tomorrow is Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Dragon Age. And then, are we Friday or Saturday for...
No, so Saturday we're going to be playing at
Midnight?
Midnight Saturday?
I think.
midnight Saturday. Yeah, I think we're going to be playing on Rep RPG. We're going to be we're in an exhibition match, so it should be fun for us to go up against a big old boy.
And
Come along.
Sunday we're playing Divinity, which is honestly it's just chill and us playing a video game while we're just chatting about nothing.
Yeah.
And then this time next week, so Wednesday next week, we are going to be playing Kids on Bikes, which is
No, Tom's gone.
which is a game about kids, and some of them have bikes. Tom, do you feel comfortable sharing the art you did?
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Are we going to put that in the Discord?
Yeah.
We're going to
Put
put
it
the
in
art.
Discord now, and then we'll put it on Twitter later.
Yeah.
We're going to put character art in the Discord.
Yeah.
The Tom's character art is fucking incredible.
It's so
such a
good.
good. I tell you something that's really weird. It has that like halcyon days, like summer holiday, like fog around it in like a really good way. Like it, you know, when you think of your childhood and the lines aren't so sharp in your memories, like it feels like. It also helps that my character is heavily based off an actual picture of me, so I look at that and I'm
Mine
like,
too.
I remember that fucking almost sepia tone photo from the fucking early 90s.
I mean, hey, here's a little secret. I spent so long with this art whilst I was meant to be working, but I lost my job.
Oh no.
Oh no.
No, that wasn't.
So
that was.
you
That's
better
not.
fucking say nice things. But yeah. So we're going to be doing that, and then in July, second week of July, we're doing our charity week, which we are getting everything planned for, including 24 hours of Curse of Strahd, which is going to be brutal.
Yep.
With some special guests, and then that's going to be a crazy fucking week.
Yep.
I've booked it off work because obviously, I might cry at some point during that week. So. Please make it, because we've got lots of donations for the Norfolk LGBT plus project.
Yes.
They do really good and genuinely important work.
Yeah.
I appreciate it's a very local charity, but we, without sounding like too down on ourselves, we don't envision we'll raise a huge amount of money, and we would like to affect good people doing good things in a significant way, rather than being a drop in an ocean of a charity that is unfortunately swimming with like bureaucracy and corporation headquarters and all those things. I'd like it to go into the bank account of somebody, a charity that has one fucking bank card, and they do everything off the back of that, and it's in a fucking like shared office or something. So that's we put a lot of research into that. I think it was Tom's find.
Yeah,
It was.
but I'd heard of it before.
Yeah, by Tom's find I mean it's Tom's
Yeah.
suggestion. Like we're all.
We're all spotting it.
But thank you very much for your bits. Thank you very much everyone for following.
Thank you.
And we will see you, or Lydia and Michelle will see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tom and I will hear you on Sunday, and we will all see you again Wednesday when
We jump on some bikes.
we're a little bit younger and a little less wiser. Tom now has to write a 4-week campaign. Bye.
Love-
Bye.